Hello, in this video we will be doing the enhanced version of the English to Pali exercises in lesson 10 of Lily de Silva, and in the printed book that is the exercise starting on page 39. So, goats roam in the park to eat leaves and drink water. So the goat is aja. Park is uyana. And the goat roams. In my little pauses, I'll be building up the sentences now very gradually with pauses, so you can build up the sentence bit by bit, hopefully to increase your confidence as you go along. So aja, nominative singular is ajo. So the goat wanders is ajo ahindati. And goats wander or roam. In the plural, it becomes aja ahindanti. So it's the aja becomes a, and the ati becomes anti. So goats roam in the park is aja uyane, locative, aja uyane ahindanti. Now, a leaf, to eat leaves. In order to eat leaves, we just use the infinitive here. So a leaf is a panna, and that is a neuter noun. And being a neuter noun, the plural is banani. So to eat, the root is kad. So the goat eats is ajo kadati. But the infinitive, it's made with the link vowel I, so it becomes kaditum. So to eat leaves is therefore banani kaditum. Having eaten leaves using the absolutive form would be, what's the absolutive form? If kaditum is the infinitive, the absolutive is kaditva. Kaditva. So having eaten leaves is banani kaditva. Now, water, various words for water, we'll use the udaka. And to drink, the root for to drink is just ba. There are two possible infinitives for this. One is the more Sanskrit form. Just add tum to the root as normal, so it becomes patum. Pali will also permit the infinitive ending tum to be added to the present base. So pa becomes pivati. So Pali will allow the infinitive form pivitum. So, to drink water, the two ways of saying it, the two different forms of the infinitive from to drink, infinitive from the root pa. So to drink water is udakam patum or udakam pivitum. So since there are two verbs here, so there are three verbs, ahindanti, but two verbs, to eat leaves and to drink water. You can put the first one in the absolutive form. So let's say now the goats, the aja, you can say the goats wander in the park to eat leaves and drink water, or literally you can put it in Pali, the goats wander in the park having eaten leaves to drink water. You can actually say either. You could use the absolutive, the itwa form, or the infinitive tum form there. Both would be correct, because it's not so much a sequence of verbs having done one thing then another. It's simultaneously both things going on at the same time. So you could use the absolutive or two separate verbs. So aja, let's use it with the absolutive first. So the goats, having eaten leaves, just put in the Pali order now, banani kaditva wander in the park. We'll put that in the end. Uyane ahindanti in order to drink water. So udakam pivitum. So we have aja banani kaditva udakam pivitum uyane ahindanti. So this is retroflex ahindanti. It would also be correct to say, because it's not as if they finish eating the leaves then have a drink of water. If there were a distinct sequence like that, yes, then the absolutive would be more or less mandated. But if they're just doing two simultaneously, there's no sense of sequence. It would be equally correct, instead of banani kaditva, to say banani, use the infinitive. You can use the infinitive, which is kaditum. So either is correct. You can say aja banani kaditum udakam pivitum uyane ahindanti, or aja banani kaditva udakam pivitum uyane ahindanti. The second version, using the absolutive followed by the infinitive, can have a suggestion of a sequence, whereas banani kaditum udakam pivitum suggests that there's no sequence to it. They're simultaneously, they're doing one and the other, and more or less at the same time. Now on to number 2. So the wicked man wishes to hit the dog with his foot. Well, just the wicked man wants to kick the dog. So to hit with the foot is how they put it in Pali. With the foot, padena. I'm going to write this here. So padena, with the foot. To kick the dog. Padena, to kick. Padena, paharitum. Padena paharati, he kicks. Padena, I'm leaving these spaces deliberately. He kicks paharati. Sorry. Padena paharati, he kicks. He wants to kick. So we then put ichhati, he wants. So what happens to paharati? He wants to kick. So it ceases to be the ordinary present and becomes the infinitive. He wants to kick. Padena paharitum ichhati. Who wants to kick? The man. Puriso. The good man, which is sapuriso. And the ungood man, the nasty man, the asapuriso. And the unfortunate object of the kicking is the dog. The dog is kukura. So this in the accusative becomes kukuram. Kukuram. So asapuriso padeno kukuram paharitum ichhati. So I'll read it again as a full sentence. Asapuriso padena kukuram paharitum ichhati. Now, number 3. Friends go to the park to play with the dogs. So the friends go. Singular, stem form mitta, nominative form mitto. It's the subject of the sentence, so it's the nominative plural mitta. Mitta. So mitta, the friends go, mitta gachanti. The friends go to the park, mitta uyyanam gachanti. Again, with the accusative of motion, mitta uyyanam gachanti. So to play with dogs, play with the dogs, play with their dogs. So kielitum, kielati, put this at the end here, kielati, he plays, kielanti, they play. They go to play, that's for the purpose of playing. That becomes, they go to the park to play. The friends go to the park to play, mitta kielitum uyyanam gachanti. So let's put kielitum here. Mitta kielitum uyyanam gachanti. To play with the dogs or their dogs. That's the instrumental singular. At the instrumental we have kukura, stem form. Kukura is a dog. So we're going to have the instrumental plural here. If it were instrumental singular, it would be kukurena. But instrumental plural is kukurehi. Kurehi. So mitta kurehi. Now in the key that's given to this book, this sentence is just given as mitta kukurehi kielitum uyyanam gachanti. I feel happier seeing saha used here because it's the with or what we have in English as the with, is more the with of accompanying rather than instrumentality. So, the difference in walking with your friend, accompaniment, walking with a walking stick, the instrument you use to help you. If you just put kukurehikilitum, that rather suggests that the dogs are the playthings. But if you're actually having a game with the dog, that the dogs are joining in the game, you'd want to put kukurehisaha, like having a game with them. So, mitta kukurehisaha kilitum uyanam gachanti. So I'll read it once more. Mitta kukurehisaha kilitum uyanam gachanti. Number 4. The lay devotee wishes to come home and instruct his sons. So here we have a clear sequence of events, because he's got to get home before he starts instructing the sons. So whereas in the previous sentence, in sentence number 1, there was no obvious sequence of events. The goats wanted to eat the leaves and drink the water. There's no sequence. They're both happening simultaneously. So that's why we said you could have panani kaditum or panani kaditva udakampivitum uyane ahendanti. Here we have a distinct sequence of events, so I would say it's pretty much mandatory to put the bit about coming home in the absolutive form. So, the lay disciple, upasako, wants, upasako ichchati. So the lay disciple wants to do what? To give instruction, or vadati. It's from that root vad, like as in Theravada, the sayings of the elders, or what the elders say. So the Theravada, the teaching of the terrors of the elders. So to instruct, ichchati. He wants to instruct. So to instruct, uvaditum, with that link vowel e, uvaditum. He wants to instruct whom? The sons. So to instruct the sons, to instruct, the verb uvadati takes the direct object. To instruct the son in the singular would be puttam uvaditum. This is the plural, masculine plural of a short a noun. Putte uvaditum. So the lay disciple wishes to instruct the sons. Upasako putte uvaditum ichchati. Putte uvaditum. So we have the lay disciple wishes to come home and instruct his sons. So, as I said, we've got the distinct sequence of events, first getting home, then instructing the sons. So you'd want to have it as literally having come home. So the upasako ichchati, wishes, having come home, which is geham agantva. So he comes home, he comes, agachati, and having come is agantva. So having come home is geham agantva. Geham agantva. So now the entire sentence, the lay disciple wishes to come home and instruct his sons. So this should be long. Upasako geham agantva putte uvaditum ichati. Now, sentence 5. The deity wishes to go to the monastery and speak to the Buddha. So here again, we have the distinct sequence. He's got to get to the monastery first before he speaks to the Buddha. So we have the wishes is an ordinary finite verb, ichati. So the first of the two things he wishes to do, we put in the absolutive. So that would be having gone gantva, and he wishes to speak is bhasitum ichati. So upasako, sorry, the deity, it's the devo. Let's try this. Devo. The deity wishes. Let's put that down. Devo ichati. What does he want to do? He wants to speak with the Buddha. So bhasitum ichati. He wishes to speak. He wishes to speak with the Buddha. We say buddhena saddhim or buddhena saha. Either is correct. Buddhena saddhim. Bhasitum ichati. Let's write that here. So buddhena saddhim bhasitum ichati. Buddhena saddhim bhasitum. So the deity wishes to speak with the Buddha. Devo buddhena saddhim bhasitum ichati. Now the deity wishes to go to the monastery and speak with the Buddha. Devo vihara is the monastery. So having gone to the monastery is viharangantva. Accusative of motion. So this entire sentence now is Devo viharangantva buddhena saddhim bhasitum ichati. Now number 6. The good man or the virtuous man wishes to protect virtues and give alms. So here, protect virtues. So silam, write it down here, silam, neuter, plural silani. We have the panchasilani, the 5 virtues, sometimes referred to as a collective as the panchasilam. Both are correct for different reasons. To protect virtues, protect rak, or Sanskrit root raksh. Pali he protects as rakati. So to protect virtues would be silani rakitum. Would you put it in the absolutive here? You could do either. If they are purely concurrent activities, say silani rakitum danani datum ichati. If you put it in the absolutive, silani rakitva, that can have the meaning, it can be a purely concurrent meaning, but it can also have the meaning of doing one then the other, or doing one by means of the other. In other words, if there is a hint of protecting virtues as a support or means towards giving alms, then the rakitva would be virtually mandated. So we'd have here then the sappuriso, the good man, it's the, in Sanskrit satpurusha, in Pali sappuriso, wishes to give alms. So that is to make danas, literally, or to give danas, literally. That would be danani, to give, he wishes to give, datum ichati, so danani datum ichati. So the good man wishes to protect virtues, or we can say having protected virtues to give alms. We could say sappuriso silani rakitva danani datum ichati. The sappuriso silani rakitva. You could also say silani rakitum if they're purely concurrent. So sappuriso silani rakitum danani datum ichati. Rakitva or rakitum. Right, sentence number 7. Pigs run from the village to enter the forest. So the pigs, sukara, singular sukaro, plural sukara. So they run, dhavanti. Village, gama. From the village, you'd use the ablative, say gama or gamamha, let's use gamamha. So they run from the village, sukara, gamamha, dhavanti. Gamamha dhavanti. Dhavanti. Sukra gamamha dhavanti. To enter the forest. So this becomes, a forest is aranyam, and to enter is pavisitum. Remember, he enters, pavisati, and to enter, is pavisitum. Sukara, to enter the forest, aranyam pavisitum. So sukara, aranyam pavisitum. We make it anusvara because of the following consonant. So sukara, aranyam pavisitum, gamamha dhavanti. Number 8. The farmer asks for a hoe from the merchant to dig pits in his field. So the farmer asks for a hoe. So we have the farmer is kasako, asks for a hoe. So yachati asks for a hoe. Kuddalam yachati. So the farmer asks for a hoe. Kasako kuddalam yachati. He asks the merchant for a hoe. In English we can say he asks for a hoe from the merchant, or he asks the merchant for a hoe. In Pali you have to use the ablative here. So varnija, merchant, varnija. So we can have either varnija, ablative, or varnijamha. So the farmer asks the merchant for a hoe. You can have kasako varnija kuddalam yachati, or varnijamha kuddalam yachati. Varnijam equally correct. In order to dig pits in the field, so to dig is kanitum. Remember we have this root kan. Cognate actually with the kan as in canal and so on. Get kan root, primitive root meaning to dig, and the infinitive is has the link vowel I, so kanitum, to dig. A pit is avarta. It's a masculine noun. So the accusative singular avartam, the accusative plural avarte. So to dig pits is avarte kanitum. So the farmer, kasako, asks the merchant for a hoe, varnija kuddalam yachati, in order to dig pits. That is avarte kanitum, in the field. That's the easy bit. Kete. So the entire sentence is kasako kete avarte kanitum varnijamha kuddalam yachati, or kasako kete avarte kanitum varnijamha kuddalam yachati. Now, number 9. Lay devotees assemble in the monastery to worship the Buddha. So, upasaka, lay devotees. Upasaka. Now, to worship, we've got vand and vandati, and so with the infinitive it becomes vanditum. So in order to worship the Buddha becomes buddham vanditum. Upasaka buddham vanditum. Assemble in the monastery. So in the monastery vihara, in the monastery vihare, of course. So vihare. And they assemble. Now we have the root pat, meaning to fall. Nipat is to fall or to fly. Oddly enough, it has both meanings. Nipat, to fly down. Sannipatanti, literally fly down together, but it's idiomatically used, just mean to assemble. As in the soldiers, they fall in, they assemble and stand in their proper ranks. So they assemble in the monastery is vihare sannipatanti. Sannipatanti. So the lay devotees assemble in the monastery in order to worship the Buddha. Upasaka, Upasaka buddham vanditum vihare sannipatanti. It's equally correct to say, to put the in order to worship the Buddha first. In order to worship the Buddha, the lay devotees assemble in the monastery. You can put upasaka vihare sannipatanti. And so, buddham vanditum upasaka vihare sannipatanti. Equally correct. So we can also take the upasaka out and put it there. Both equally correct and with no difference of meaning. So I'll read the sentence again in both forms. Upasaka buddham vanditum vihare sannipatanti, or buddham vanditum upasaka vihare sannipatanti. Now, number 10. The uncle comes out of the house to call the fisherman. So, uncle, matulo, comes out of the house. We have this verb nikam, which is from the Sanskrit nishkram, the kram meaning to step and the nish meaning away or out. So nishkram, Pali nikam, so he steps out, nikamati. So and it takes the ablative of the thing you're leaving or literally stepping out of. So he steps out of the house, he steps out from the house, literally. Ablative gehamha nikamati. Matulo gehamha nikamati. In order to call the fisherman, or just to call the fisherman. So that is dhivaram pakkositum. Remember, akkositum would mean to scold or abuse somebody, but pakkositum, entirely opposite meaning, just to call. Pakkositum. So matulo dhivaram pakkositum. Dhivaram pakkositum. So the entire sentence is matulo dhivaram pakkositum gehamha nikamati. Number 11. Farmers wish to get oxen, merchants wish to get horses. So for to get here is the most common word to use, is lab. He gets, labhati. To get or to obtain is labhitum. And from there we get words like labha, getting, which often means gain or profit, labha. So labhitum. the farmers want to get oxen. So it's kassaka gune labhitum ichanti. So here we have kassaka gune labhitum ichanti. Merchants wish to get horses. Exactly the same sentence structure here. Vanija asse labhitum ichanti. Vanija. Remember, a horse is an assa. Sanskrit ashva. Latin equus. So horses, accusative plural, asse, vanija asse. And the same labhitum ichanti. So the entire sentence, kassaka gune labhitum ichanti, vanija asse labhitum ichanti. Yeah. Now to number 12. The king wishes to abandon his palace. So, bhupalo. Literally the earth protector. Bhupalo ichati. So, bhupalo ichati. So, to abandon his palace. So, pasadam pajahitum. Also pahatum, you could say. So, bhupalo pasadam pajahitum. Or pahatum. Sorry, no, not that. Pahatum is more classical, it's more Sanskrit. It would be prahatum in Sanskrit, not prajahitum. Prajahitum would be an impermissible form. Because in Sanskrit, the tum or itum ending is added to the root. In Pali, it is added to the root, and it's often added to the present stem. So, paha, Sanskrit praha, to abandon. Pali paha, to make the infinitive. Sanskrit is just prahatum, Pali pahatum, or the present stem, Sanskrit prajahati, Pali pajahati. And Pali can make the infinitive from the present stem as well. So pajahitum. So bhupalo pasadam pajahitum or bhupalo pasadam pahatum ichati. Number 13. Men take baskets and go to the forest to collect fruits for their children. So they collect baskets and go to the forest to collect fruits for their children. So taking the baskets comes first and is followed by going to the forest. So let's put the subject of the sentence first. Manusa. And what do? They go to the forest. Okay. Aranyangachanti. The men go to the forest. Manusa aranyangachanti. So the men go to the forest to gather fruits for the children. So for the children, we're going to put that in the dative, which is identical to the genitive. So that's going to be the genitive / dative plural. So darkanam. And the together is samharati. We've got paharati, to hit, and we've had padena paharati, he kicks. Samharati is to gather together. So sangharati. And the plural is samharitum. So for the children, darakanam, to gather fruits was going to be samharitum. So palani samharitum. Samharitum. So men go to the forest to get there. Sorry, a break there. Crumb went down the wrong way. Where were we? Manusa Darakanam Palani Samharitum Aranyam Gachanti. So that means the men go to the forest in order to gather fruit for the children. So the men take baskets and go. So here, clearly we need the absolutive, literally having taken baskets. So, adaya, having taken. A basket is pitaka, masculine noun. So accusative plural, pitake, having taken baskets, pitake adaya. So manusa, pitake adaya. Aranyam gachanti. Now, if you see this phrase here, pitake adaya, literally having taken baskets, but you'll often see this used in Pali, just means the men go with baskets. In Pali, yeah, you could say pitake gachanti, pitakehi gachanti, but no, far more common if they're taking something with them. It's you often see pitake adaya gachanti, which you can simply translate as the men go with baskets, literally having taken baskets. So you don't always have to translate adaya as having taken, if all it means that they've got baskets in their hands and they're going. You'll often see adaya used like this. You don't need to give it its full verbal translation. So the entire sentence then, manusa pitake adaya darakanam palani samharitum aranyam gachanti. Now, number 14, the farmer wanders in the forest to cut grass for his oxen. Here we go, 14. So the farmer wanders in the forest. Kasaku wanders in the forest. Aranye ahindati. Locative, aranye ahindati. Kasaku aranye ahindati. To cut grass. So the root is chid, and the present is inserted n, the chindati. In Sanskrit, you make the infinitive, and you can do it in Pali as well, you'd make the guna of the e, so chedtum, then it has to become chetum. And you can do the same in Pali as well. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you can make an infinitive ending. You can put an infinitive ending in Pali on the root, or in many cases on the present stem as well, which you can't in Sanskrit. In Sanskrit, it has to be chid chetum, straight to the gunated root. In Pali, however, you can also say, you can put it onto the present stem, you can also say chinditum. Both correct, chetum and chinditum, both correct in Pali. So in order to cut grass, grass is dinner, it's a Newton noun, dinam. If you're cutting grass, you would tend to put it in the plural. You're cutting grass for fodder, not just one bit of grass, but cutting grass generally. So you can put it in the plural, dinani chinditum. So the farmer, kasako arani ahenditi. So in order to cut grass would be dinani chinditum. And for the oxen is gona in the singular. Use the genitive/dative plural, gonanam. Those of you who've seen the key in the printed book, there's a misprint in number 14. It's written with a short agonanam. Of course, it's gonanam. Gusako gonanam. Dinani chindatum rani ahendati. So I'll read that sentence in full now. Kasako gunanam tinani chinditum aranye ahindati. Number 15. Men wish to live in houses in the city with their sons. So men wish to live. Manusa. Wish to live. Root to live in the sense of to dwell, to live somewhere, is vas. And so the infinitive vasitum, and they wish to live is vasitum ichanti. Men wish to dwell, manusa vasitum ichanti. That's vasitum, vasitum ichanti. So, men wish to dwell, manusa vasitum ichanti, with their sons in houses in the city. So with their sons, just with sons, buddhehi saddhim. You have to use the sahu saddhim here, not the instrumental alone. So instrumental plural, with their sons, buddhehi saddhim, or saha, either would do. In the city, in houses. Right, so here we have a locative singular and a locative plural. Nagara, city. In the city, locative nagare. House, geha. In a house, singular, gehe. In houses, locative plural, gehesu. So the entire sentence then goes, Manusa buddhehi saddhim nagare gehesu vasitum ichanti. And once more, Manusa buddhehi saddhim nagare gehesu vasitum ichanti. Now, number 16. Having stood on the rock, the child sees flowers on the trees. So let's start off with having stood on the rock. So pasana is a rock. And tattva, having stood, from the root sta, we can make tattva slightly irregular. So having stood on the rock, pasana, rock, locative pasane or pasanasmim. Pasanasmim. So pasanasmim tattva, having stood on the rock. Pasan tattva, the child sees flowers on the trees. So darako, the child sees, darako passati, sees what? Pupani, flowers, where in the trees? Rukesu, again locative plural. Udaraku rukesu pupani passati. Pupani. So the entire sentence now reads, Pasanasmim tattva daraku rukesu pupani passati. Also with the alternative form of the locative in the first word, pasane. So pasane tattva darako rukesu pupani passati. Number 17. Having received a garment from the teacher, the doctor is pleased. So, the doctor, Vidjo. The doctor is pleased. Vidjo pasidati. So the doctor is pleased. Vidjo. The origin of that word is Veda, from the root vid, meaning knowledge. And in Sanskrit, one of the ways of, from a noun making a man connected with or a person connected with, is to do the vriddhi of the vowel and add ya. So Veda becomes Vaidya, means a person of knowledge, and that came to mean doctor. And Vaidya, by standard phonetic mutation, becomes Vedja in Pali. So Vedjo pasidati. So having received a garment, so we have lab, to receive, and having received is labhitva. For garment we could either say vattam labhitva or sartakam labhitva. So having received a garment, let's have sartakam. Labhitva. Sartakam labhitva vedjo pasidati. And from the teacher, so acharya, in Sanskrit acharya, in Pali acharya. It's the same word in Thai. People say ajan. It's just in Thai phonetics, acharya or acharya just becomes ajan in the phonetics of Thai. So that is the meaning of ajan, teacher. So from the teacher, acharyam ha, acharyam ha. or just acharya. So, having received a garment from the teacher, the doctor is pleased. So, acharyamha sartakam labhidva vedyo pasidati. Read it again. Acharyamha sartakam labhidva vedyo pasidati. Now, number 18. The hunter calls a friend to drag a goat from the forest. So, a hunter, luddako, calls a friend. So, a friend, sahaya, he calls his pakosati. So, he calls a friend, sahayam pakosati. Sahayam pakosati. To drag a goat. So a goat, aja, and to drag or to pull is akadhati. So to drag a goat would be ajam akadhitum. So akadhati becomes akadhitum. So ajam akadhitum. And from the forest, ablative of aranya, so either aranya or aranyamha. So aranyam, let's put aranyamha. So the full sentence then reads, Luddako aranyamha ajam akadhitum sahayam pakosati. And again, Luddako aranyamha ajam akadhitum sahayam pakosati. Number 19, the sailor calls merchants to cross the sea. So, the sailor, think of nautical man, the naviko. Calls merchants. So, singular varnija, nominative varnijo, accusative plural varnije. He calls the merchants varnije pakosati. So the sailor calls the merchants naviko varnije pakosati. Naviko varnije pakosati. To cross the sea. We can use the word samudda. And to cross, it's the tar. He crosses is tarati. To cross is taritum. And we know in Sanskrit, to cross down, to come down from one level to another, is avatarati. And from that we get the avatara. So avatar, somebody who crosses down. So to cross the sea then would be samuddam taritum. Samuddam taritum. So the whole sentence then reads Naviko samuddam taritum varnije pakosati. Equally correct to say samuddam taritum naviko vanije pakosati. So just mark, you can put the naviko in either place. Naviko samuddam taritum vanije pakosati, or samuddam taritum naviko vanije pakosati. Equally correct. Number 20. Having risen from the seat, the good man wishes to speak with the monk. So let's start with the good man. So it's the good man, sappuriso. So the good man wishes to speak. To speak, bhasitum, he wishes to speak, bhasitum ichchati. So put that here, sappuriso, bhasitum ichchati. So the good man wishes to speak with the monk. The monk is, let's use samana. To speak with samanena saddhim. So samanena saddhim. So the good man wishes to speak with the monk. Sappuriso samanena saddhim bhasitumichchati. So having risen from the seat, seat, asana, from the root as, to sit, and it's the same, the asana, a sitting or a seat, or the yogic asanas, same word. So from the seat, having got up from the seat, asanam ha, ablative, asanam ha. So to stand up is uttha. By the way, in Sanskrit, the root is sta, but unusually and slightly irregularly in Sanskrit as well, if you put ut in front of it, the s drops. So in Sanskrit, for to get up is the root form is uttha, and in Pali that becomes retroflex. It becomes uttaya, asanam ha, uttaya. In fact, in Sanskrit it is uttaya without the retroflex t. Uttaya, Pali, uttaya. So I'll read the whole sentence now. Sappariso asanam ha uttaya samanena saddhim bhasitum ichchati. So it's the English is given as having risen from the seat, the good man wishes to speak with the monk. It makes it sound as if he's risen from the seat and then formed the desire to speak with the monk. It could also mean that he's sitting there and he sees the monk, wants to speak to him, and so decides to get up. So that he decides he wants to get up from the seat and then speak with the monk. It would be put in exactly that same way in Pali. So sappuriso asanam ha uttaya. So the good man wishes, sappuriso wishes to do things, asanam ha uttaya samanena saddhim bhasitum. The sappuriso ichchati wishes to get up and speak, uttaya having got up, bhasitum to speak. So sappuriso asanam ha uttaya samanena saddhim bhasitum ichchati. So that's why this sentence is potentially ambiguous. It could either mean the way it's put in the Pali, sappuriso asanam ha uttaya, having got up from his seat, then decides that he wants to speak with the monk, samanena saddhim bhasitum ichchati, or sappuriso ichchati, the good man wants to do what? to get up from his seat and speak to the monk, he would put it in the same way. Sapuriso asnamha uttaya samanena satim bhasitum ichati. Number 21. Children wish to get down to the water, to the water and bathe. Or just to go into the water and bathe. So the children is dharaka. They wish to bathe. To bathe is naha. It's not often you see a two-syllable root, but in fact the real root in Sanskrit is a single syllable. It is sna, is the root, sna, to bathe. And that just becomes naha in Pali. So to make the infinitive from that, you put naha itum, but with a joining ya, the euphonic note, so naha yitum. It's the same as the itum, the ya is just inserted euphonically. It's difficult to say naha itum, so naha yitum. So the children wish to bathe. Dharaka nahayitum ichanti. Nahayitum ichanti. So the children want to go into the water and bathe. So udakam utaritva. To cross tarati, to get into the water, you use the same, what in Sanskrit, avatarati, utarati. So it can be used for crossing down from a divine level to the human level. That's our avatar. And also simply climbing down a tree. Rukkamha utarati, ablative there. Rukkamha utarati, climbs down from a tree. And here, yeah, that's interesting. Rukkamha utarati, he's getting out of it, therefore it's the ablative. But here they're crossing down into it, so it's the accusative, udakam utaritva, the accusative of motion. They're going down into it rather than coming down from it. Though the same verb would be used for coming down from a tree, rukkamha utarati. So udakam utaritva. Udakam utaritva. So that means they want to do two things in sequence. They want to A, get into the water, and B, bathe. So ichanti, nahayatum ichanti, dharaka udakam uttaritva, nahayatum ichanti. So they wish, having got into the water, to bathe. And clearly the wish precedes both of those. It's not as if they go into the water and then decide they want to bathe. Clearly the wish is to get into the water and bathe. But as usual, because they're sequential actions done by the same persons, the first verb goes in the absolutive. Number 22. The minister mounts the horse to go to the forest to shoot deer. So the minister is amacho. Mounts a horse. So just as we have uruhati in Sanskrit, avaruh, to get down from. So to go up, either to climb a tree, go up a mountain, mount a horse, it's aruhati. So he mounts a horse is asam aruhati. And when he gets back and dismounts, it's asamha uruhati. So amacho asam aruhati. Why does he mount the horse? In order to shoot deer. So remember the deer and the singular, miga, masculine noun in Sanskrit, mriga. Accusative plural, mige, and to shoot, vij. Vij. Remember, he shoots, vijhati. It's from the root vid. The basic meaning of that is to pierce. The idea is piercing with an arrow, shooting arrows at. Just literally to pierce deer, but to shoot deer. Then is mige vijitum. Mige vijitum. So the minister mounts the horse to shoot deer is amacho mige vijitum assamaruhati. So to shoot deer, to go to the forest and shoot deer, so having gone to the minister mounts his horse in order to, having gone to the forest, shoot deer. See, aranyam gantva. Aranyam gantva. So, the minister, having gone to the forest in order to shoot deer, the horse mounts. And clearly here the purpose of both is not that he mounts his horse and goes to the forest and then decides to shoot deer. He mounts his horse in order to go to the forest and shoot deer. But consecutive actions governed by the same original verb, aruhati. So as usual, the first of those two consecutive actions in the absolutive. So amacho aranyam gantva mige vijitum assam aruhati. And as before, you can put the amacho either at the beginning of the sentence, as I've done it here, or just before the main clause there. So just say aranyam gantva mige vijitum amacho asamaruhati, equally correct. So I'll read the sentence in both ways. Amacho aranyam gantva mige vijitum asamaruhati, or aranyam gantva mige vijitum amacho asam aruhati. (23) The boy wishes to cook rice for his uncle's friends. So, boy, Kumaro. The boy wishes. Ichati. The boy wishes to cook. And the root pach, to cook, cognate with English bake. To cook. Pachitum. He wishes to cook. Pachitum ichati. So, pachitum, the boy wishes to cook. Kumaro pachitum ichati. Wishes to cook rice. Battam. The boy wishes to cook rice. Kumaro battam pachitum ichati. So for his uncle's friends, say uncles, apostrophe, matulassa, matula uncle, matulassa, mitta, in the nominative, put in the nominative first, the uncle's friends, but for the uncle's friends, put that now into the dative, genitive / dative, mittanam. So, for his uncle's friends, matulassa mittanam. So the boy wishes to cook rice for his uncle's friends. Kumaro matulassa mittanam bhattam pachitum ichchati. Read it again. Kumaro matulassa mittanam bhattam pachitum ichchati. 24. Jackals leave the forest to enter the farmer's fields. So, let's start with, in order to enter the farmer's fields, the jackals leave the forests. So, the farmer's field is farmers in the plural in the sentence. That's right. So, kasakanam, the farmer's field, kasakanam, kittam, kasakanam kittam. Now, in the English, in the printed book, it's put in the plural. In the printed key, it's actually put in the singular, kete. Let's follow the English and put it in the plural. So the farmer's apostrophe field, plural, ketam, farmer's field. If it were the farmer's fields, it would be kesakanam ketani. But pavisati, it can take an accusative or it can take a locative. Very frequent, even though it's a verb of motion, is very often found with the locative. So you could say ketani or ketesu. Bhavisitum. So in order to enter the farmer's plural fields, plural, kasakanam ketani or ketesu bhavisitum. So in order to enter the farmer's fields, the jackals leave the forest. So sigala, the jackals, plural, sigala. In fact, our English word jackal, shigala in Sanskrit, our English word jackal comes from that word. So sigala, leave the forest. So leave, we've had that word in Sanskrit, nishkram, in Pali, nikam, and it takes the ablative of the thing or place you're leaving. So aranyamha nikkamanti. Aranyam nikkamanti. So the jackals leave the forest to enter, or in order to enter the farmer's fields, both plural. Kasakanam ketani pavisitum sigala aranyamha nikkamanti. Or alternatively, using the locative of fields, kasakanam ketesu pavisitum sigala aranyamha nikkamanti. And now, sentence 25. Men wish to see objects with their eyes by the light of the sun. So, men wish. Manusa. Men wish to see. Passitum icchanti. Men wish to see. Manusa passitum icchanti. note here now, again, an important distinction between Sanskrit and Pali. The root, this is an odd root, it's where we have the Sanskrit root drish, which makes its present tense in pashyati. It's just one of those very few verbs that use the different root for the present stem. It's called a suppletive verb. One verb has to supplement another. Same as our English go, past tense, we don't say goed, we say went. We use a different, an entirely different root. Drish pashyati. In the infinitive, in Sanskrit, it is drashtum. And in Pali, you can have daktum by standard phonetic mutation, drashtum daktum. But so pashyati in Pali, passati, you can make your infinitive out of the present stem, which you can't do in Sanskrit. You can, in Pali, you can say to see either daktum or passitum. Both are correct. But this passitum or pashitum form would just bad Sanskrit. It would be understood, but it's bad grammar. Passitum correct. So passitum achanti. They want to see. They want to see what? Objects. Well, in this context, you'd use the word rupani, literally forms in the Buddha rupa, the Buddha form. It's a neuter noun. Rupam is a plural, rupani. So the men wish to see forms, manusa rupani passitum ichanti. So by the light of the sun. So sun is Surya. In Sanskrit, it is Surya. The long U and then the consonant cluster, the R followed by the Y, Surya. In Pali, that becomes two short syllables, Surya. And light is Aloka. So by the light, instrumental alokena, by the light of the sun, Suryassa alokena. So Suryassa alokena. Suryassa. With their eyes. So Nayana, it's a neuter noun, so the nominative nayanam comes from root ni, meaning to lead. So the eyes are the things that lead, your guides, your leaders. Instrumental plural, so nayanehi, with the eyes. So manusa suryassa alokena nayanehi. Rupani passitum ichanti. And equally, manusa, you could put manusa before rupani. You say, Suryasa alokena nayanehi manusa rupani passitum ichanti is as correct as the way I've written it here. So I'll say it again in both forms. Manusa suryasa alokena nayanehi rupani passitum ichanti, or Suryasa alokena nayanehi manusa rupani passitum ichanti. Right, and that concludes this enhanced version of English to Pali in lesson 10.